Good Thursday afternoon. Happy Juneteenth, guys, and welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for spending your perhaps day off with us. Hey, coming up on the show today, the latest with regard to the conflict between Israel and Iran. Still waiting to see whether or not the U.S. will get involved. D.C. Council member Robert White joins us to talk about some new legislation on the table, and we're talking restaurant customer satisfaction. Apparently, a new study out says the best restaurant is... well, you'll have to stick around to find out. All that and more coming up on the show today. But first, how about we talk hot weather? Tucker Barnes joining us on the live zone.
McDonald's. Is that going to be the restaurant?
I can't tell you.
Is it local?
Yeah, it's a national chain. It's not McDonald's.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm going to stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to get involved.
What
do I do to get involved? How are you today?
I'm good. Hot. It was a hot walk in.
Yeah, and it was a stormy day yesterday, and that steam and that heat have gone nowhere. We got another hot day today for our holiday.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
I mean, we're literally looking at the last day of spring. Summer arrives tomorrow, so it's not like this is unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, low 90s later today. We are 81 degrees here. It's actually been a good-looking morning in that we have had a lot of sunshine. We got rid of some of that haze and mist and all that nastiness yesterday. So at least it looks bright and nice outside. 83 now, Dulles, and it is going to be for sure a hot afternoon. Low 90s expected, and big heads up here, and really watch carefully the evolution of any thunderstorm activity later today. Yesterday we had some big bangers.
Oh yeah.
That's not a scientific term, but yeah, downpours. Frequent lightning. We had some gusty winds that caused some issues and some downed trees in parts of the area. We could do that all over again later this afternoon. We have the makings of it just out to the west. If you look out towards West Virginia, out towards Elkins, you can see some light shower activity. That will blossom into thunderstorm activity later this afternoon as we have a cold front that will be approaching. And the good news, Guy, the cold front will bring us drier air tomorrow, and we've got a zip trip out in Leesburg. Should be a beautiful morning out in Leesburg tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a beautiful day, but the transition zone is often a little bumpy around here, and we could have some storms later this afternoon, early this evening. So just be ready for that. And again, we are under a enhanced risk for severe weather, and I think the Weather Service and the folks out at the Storm Prediction Center are most concerned with the potential for gusty winds later this afternoon. So that would be the primary threat. Yeah, there's your cold front as mentioned, and behind it, nice air tomorrow. The other big weather story as we get into the weekend, good news, no rain for the first time in weeks and weeks for our weekend.
Thank you.
Bad news, it gets hot. And 92 will be okay on Saturday. Yeah, it's nice pool weather. You're out there, in the sun for a minute. You're like, oh, it's hot. Pavement's a little hot on the toes. But then look out, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we are just off and running here, flirting with records. The heat index will be up over 105.
Oh my goodness.
And could we hit 100 any of those days? We could. So just make sure that your air conditioner's ready, and if you like to leave your pet outside, your dog outside or something, you don't do so next week.
Yeah, I remember back in late December, early January, it was freezing, and what did I say? There's going to be a day where we can't wait till it gets warm.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll be back early next week, and we will visit on that. See what you think.
Tucker Barnes with all things weather right here on the Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That way you can take your weather on the go. Well, today we pause to recognize a powerful moment in American history. Juneteenth was officially marked as a federal holiday back in 2021 when then President Joe Biden signed it into law. Historians say June 19th, 1865 is the day Union soldiers reached Galveston, Texas to deliver the news to enslaved Black Americans that they are now free. This happening 2 months after the Confederacy surrendered, at least 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, a new top cop in Prince George's County, the change has taken some within that department by surprise. While now former Chief Aziz was away interviewing for the top job in Phoenix, Arizona, new county executive AISHA BRAVEBOY announced his replacement. 54-year-old George Nader will serve the Prince George's County Police Department. Well, he did so for some 20 years before heading to the Metro Transit Police as the agency's assistant chief for the Bureau of Homeland Security. Nader tells Fox 5 he wants to focus on illegal guns in the county and more partnerships within the school system. Let's go over the river and through the woods, in this case to the White House. You're now taking a live look at the White House, featuring, you see that right there? Yes, the U.S. flag front and center after President Trump had 2 new flagpoles installed yesterday on the north and south lawns. This one of many updates the president has made to the White House in his second term. Now to a Fox 5 News alert. Israel was hit by a new wave of missiles out of Iran today, with a major hospital in the south sustaining extensive damage. This as President Trump continues to review attack plans for Iran, but is holding off to see whether they will step back from its nuclear program. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is our Guy is back. Timothy Allen Simon, political strategist, back here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Timothy.
Good to see you, Guy. Happy Juneteenth to you.
And a happy Juneteenth to you as well. Let's start with the conflict between Israel and Iran. We now know that, as you just heard me make mention, President Trump reviewing attack plans, but yet again holding off at this very moment to see if they stop their nuclear program. What do you think the president's next move will be?
I think the president is either going to have to try to initiate diplomatic talks, which he has said he has been contacted by Iran, or he'll lean with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and utilize the Buster bomb to attempt to take out the nuclear facility in Fordow, Iran. This is a long-standing contentious relationship between the United States and Iran, going back to the Islamic Revolution of 1978. If you go back even further to 1953, the United States was part of overthrowing Mohammad Mossadegh, who was the prime minister or president of Iran. When the Ayatollah Khomeini came into power, one of the first things he did was ended diplomatic relationships with Israel and South Africa. So this is a long, contentious history, and where it's now coming to a head because the International Atomic Agency has determined that Iran has continued to enrich uranium near weapons grades level. I should point out, as I said last time, Guy, there was a nuclear deal that President Barack Obama and other nations, a coalition of nations, had established with Iran on this issue. It was torn up by President Trump, and here we are.
Interesting. We'll get more on the conflict yet again underway in the Middle East at 12:15 with our foreign policy expert. That coming up yet again at 12:15. Back here in the States, we know that President Trump slamming the Federal Reserve, even suggesting, well, Timothy, you probably heard this, that he'll take over as head of the central bank after the latest decision not to cut interest rates. The Fed decided to keep borrowing costs at current levels, citing inflation forecasts and a growing economy. What do you think is going to happen with this, Timothy?
And I'm having some audio challenges here, but as President Trump pointed out, the European Union and other nations have reduced or lowered their interest rates multiple times since coming out of the pandemic. And it appears that Jerome Powell, his appointee, by the way, feels that to do so at this time would stimulate inflation in the United States, something that many would say was the reason why Kamala Harris, and of course, following Joe Biden, lost the election. So I think you have a difference of views. They have not gotten along for a period of time. The president has threatened to fire Jerome Powell, and now, as you've said, he's taken it a step higher, saying that he may actually take over the Fed. I'm sure that will be fought in court, but this is what he has stated to the public.
Yeah, obviously the two not, as we say, getting along the way perhaps many would expect them to be doing. The State Department now resumed the application process for foreign student visas, but well, all applicants must unlock their social media accounts for government review. That department saying it will be on the lookout for posts and messages which could be considered hostile to the U.S. What are you thinking about this?
Well, you know, I sit on a college trustee board at the University of San Francisco, and many small universities and even large ones are dependent upon foreign students who pay full tuition, where over 70% are domestic students, at least in our case, require some level of financial aid or assistance. This is delving into First Amendment, but I can't say that there's a right of privacy issue here, because if you posted your political views on social media, hence they are for public review. Again, I think this will be challenged in court by civil libertarians, and the due process and equal protection is entitled to all persons, not just citizens. So these type of actions are ripe for litigation.
All right, we'll move on to a move by President Trump that's ruffling a lot of feathers. We know that the president has now decided to end suicide in crisis hotlines for LGBTQ plus youth. As of July 17th, callers to 988, that's the National Suicide in Crisis Lifeline, will no longer have the option to speak with a counselor specifically trained to handle LGBTQ issues. Your response to this, Timothy?
This is part of a larger policy or effort of the Trump administration to remove the LGBT community of having a special class status under the Constitution, which meaning they require like racial minorities or gender require a more of a strict scrutiny analysis in terms of this community's equal protection of the law. But the administration has also said that it doesn't mean that an LGBTQ person under mental health challenges cannot call the hotline. They just no longer have a special line for the LGBTQ or queer community. Again, this is to be seen. This is part of a larger program that is part of the culture war, to be honest, under the Trump administration, but it is also an issue that he ran on to be president, and he's following through on his campaign promises in this particular area.
Well, in this particular area, yet again, it has ruffled a lot of feathers, specifically those sitting on the left. Speaking of those on the left, well, that means you got those on the right. In this case, neither the Republican nor Democratic Party has consolidated a majority of the public behind its approach, with more than 4 in 10 now saying that neither party can get things done or has strong leadership. Seems like a lot of Americans aren't happy, Timothy.
Yes, the divide that has even moved into political violence, as we know, really stagnates this country's ability to put forth initiatives where we need bipartisan cooperation. Mind you, as you know, being in the Capitol, there are bills passed every day coming out of Congress, sometimes even bipartisan. But the fact remains the larger issues that need to be addressed by this country are being affected by our lack of bipartisanism. Hence, both parties are continuing to have lower approval ratings based on a number of polls. I think that the new leadership and the midterms will probably have an impact on this situation that we are in as a country, but we still continue to operate every day. So I think that's the other point to be made, that the federal government continues to operate. We are just operating in a very contentious fashion.
All right, Timothy. Well, as you acknowledged, today is a special day. Yes, it is Juneteenth, a day in which all slaves discovered they were free. However, it comes as the Trump administration's pushback on DEI initiatives. Your response to that?
Well, you know, I was black long before DE&I, and you may try to suppress DE&I, but you cannot deny the history of slavery, 254 years that this country engaged in chattel slavery, the last country to abolish slavery. And yes, thanks to President Joe Biden and Congress, Juneteenth is a holiday that is celebrated nationally. It should be celebrated globally because it put an end to slavery, even though we went into what some called sharecropper status that had much similarities to slavery. But it's when this nation, after a war that had the highest number of casualties in this nation's history, decided that slavery must come to an end. And at a time when much of our history is attempted to being erased by the federal government, it's very important that all people, all races, celebrate the end of slavery by way of Juneteenth. And it is just, it's heartwarming, Guy, to hear you talk about this holiday as well as Fox 5.
Yeah. Yet again, we are awaiting a White House press conference that's set to get underway beginning at 1 p.m. I'm curious, Timothy, I got about 40 seconds left. Do you think the White House will acknowledge it in any way, form, or fashion?
Oh, that's to be seen. You know, President Trump did have a Black History celebration in the White House. The White House does whatever President Trump decides to do, as he has said, at that time. So there could be an acknowledgement. It could be not. I'm sure this is a contentious issue in MAGA as well as the more traditional Republicans, but to be seen. I try not to predict what President Trump will do.
Well said. Yet again, Timothy Allen Simon, political strategist, joining us on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Guy.
Now back to the crisis unfolding in the Middle East. That region on high alert this afternoon after a missile launched out of Iran hit a major hospital in southern Israel. An airstrike also hitting an apartment building in Tel Aviv. Dozens of people injured in both strikes. Israel firing back, continuing with precision strikes going after missile launchers in Iran. This afternoon, President Trump is yet to decide whether or not to attack Iran directly. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Gil Hoffman, Executive Director and Executive Editor of Honest Reporting. I should also make mention he is a veteran Israeli political analyst, and he's kind enough to join us on the live zone. Mr. Hoffman, truly appreciate your time, sir. Let's jump into it. We'll start with the major hospital attack in South Israel, sustaining extensive damage. We know the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, yet again claiming that while Israel is hitting military sites only, Iran now targeting and hitting hospitals. Your response to that, sir?
Yeah, I hope the media realizes that there's a very big contrast between what's going on right now here in Israel and what's happened in Iran and elsewhere. Israel, I woke up this morning to a siren that made me have to go downstairs here in Jerusalem to a bomb shelter. And while I was sitting in that bomb shelter, I found out that the hospital where my first cousin works has been treating people nonstop since October 7th, had been hit by a ballistic missile. And by the time I got out of the bomb shelter, the media was reporting incorrectly, comparing this, saying that Israel has hit hospitals in Gaza. Israel in Gaza hit terror tunnels underneath hospitals. There were hostages being kept under hospitals. There were terrorists hiding under hospitals. This hospital was only treating Jewish, Christians, and Muslims, people of all faiths. And in Iran, Israel is hitting military targets while Iran is targeting Israeli civilians.
So the question continues to loom. Will the U.S. get involved, and will the U.S. strike Iran? That, in essence, could be a slippery slope. Another concern is if that does happen and the U.S. strikes the nuclear facility there, well, perhaps there could be a radiation leak of some sort. Your stance on that?
Well, it's been interesting to see that there have been many wars in the Middle East that countries around here asked America to get involved, and they did, and American lives were lost. Israel isn't one of them. Israel has always done its dirty work by itself, trying to make the world safer, which is what Israel is doing by trying to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons. What we have right now is a very unique situation where Israel's already removed all the air defenses of Iran. And there's one nuclear site that is deep underground, and Israel does not possess the bunker-busting bombs in order to destroy it and prevent Iran from being able to continue its nuclear capabilities. And in that regard, America could come in handy if it would decide to take that step in a very safe way. There are ways of doing it. And if not, then Israel will do whatever it can with its more limited capacity. But the world needs to understand Iran can't get the bomb. There's nothing more dangerous than a maniacal regime like that, that in their religious beliefs that are incorrect, believe that there needs to be an international catastrophe for their Messiah to come, and they're ready to use it by attacking what they call the little state in Israel, the middle state in Europe, and the big state in America.
All right, Gil, I got about a minute left, and we now know that Israel's defense minister now stating that Iran's supreme leader cannot be allowed to continue to exist. His comments come yet again after he instructed the Israeli military to intensify strikes against strategic targets. Ultimately, will the supreme leader stay in place?
No one has any idea, but I can tell you that Netanyahu criticized his own defense minister for saying that in Israel, we don't talk about what we're going to do. We do what we have to do to make the world safer. And I hope that that's what will be happening, that the media will report it accordingly and give Israel the benefit of the doubt as it takes these crucial steps for safety and security in the Middle East.
Well said. Yet again, we've been speaking with Mr. Gil Hoffman, Executive Director and Executive Director of Honest Reporting. He's also a veteran Israeli political analyst. Sir, truly appreciate your time. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, we'll bring it back home. D.C. Councilman Robert White joins us discussing Juneteenth and the D.C. peace legislation. We'll be right back.
League, because they don't have to do this. However, we all realize that if Broadway doesn't keep its eye on the prize, How else are we, artists and activists, going to hold on? We very well may be the last successful experiment in democracy, those of us who come to the theater, because we know about collaboration, we know about plurality, we know about government for the people, of the people, and by the people. We are the people.
Mr. DeShields.
Yes.
Excuse me, King.
Yes.
We have a special
treat for you
here today. We have from Hell's Kitchen. I'm sorry, the musical Boo. My bad. Jamie, Amy, Jasmine, Amy Rogers singing "Don't You Care" from your hit show Play On.
Jasmine, come on, baby.
Congratulations. Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much.
Of course. This is for you.
Okay, I'm gonna take it.
You are the best.
I'm gonna take it.
Andre DeShields, everybody. Yes. I've always dreamed of a love affair, so tender, so sweet.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, earlier this week, the D.C. Council advanced the Peace D.C. bill. It's a massive piece of legislation aimed at addressing crime and preventing violence. The bill passed its first vote with 8 yes votes, 2 no votes, and 2 present votes, despite criticism over changes to pretrial detention. Under Peace D.C., judges are given more discretion to keep people who are accused of violent crimes in detention prior to trial. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is at-large council member Robert White, right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, council member.
Good to see you. Happy Juneteenth, Guy.
And happy Juneteenth to you. Before we discuss the Peace D.C. legislation, I got a chance to peruse through your social media earlier today, and yet again recognizing Juneteenth unlike any other, sir. Do tell.
Look, this is an important holiday. It took us a long time to get here. The history, it's about emancipation, but it's also about Black Americans not even knowing that they were free. The last Black Americans to know that slavery had been abolished. We have to celebrate that, and we have to really call ourselves to the purpose of justice and racial equality, especially in a time like this with the presidential administration that we have, and even elected officials across the country saying out loud things that they only would have said quietly before. We've got to keep moving forward. We need progress. And so this is an important holiday for us to celebrate. And I hope people are taking time to celebrate it and also understand the history and the call to action today.
Well said, sir. Let's move on to Peace D.C. legislation. You, in essence, have reaffirmed your dedication to public safety while expressing serious concerns about certain provisions within the bill, 2 of which I know happen to be expanding pretrial detention and the other surrounding special police officer enforcement on public transportation. Can you expand?
Yeah, but I want to recognize that my colleagues have done some hard work here, but we have to have a commitment to public safety. We also have to have a commitment to racial equity and to true democracy. And we didn't meet that mark here. So we are guessing that if we make it easier to detain people who have not been convicted of crime, that's going to make the city safer. There are a lot of problems with that. One, we requested a study, and the study said, look, we haven't been able to reach a conclusion yet, but there doesn't seem to be a strong correlation. We also know that Black people are over-incarcerated, that DC jail is in a terrible condition, that our juvenile jail is over capacity, that the lawyers who represent people who commit crimes are understaffed by 30%, that judges are almost 20% short in DC, which means it'll take longer to get to trial. And already without this law, over half the people convicted or charged with crime are held. So there's no evidence that this is going to make us safer. The only evidence that we have is that it's going to result in more innocent Black people being locked up, and we can't be okay with that.
And so if I may ask, as the bill currently stands, will you vote in favor of it?
I cannot vote in good conscience in favor of this bill right now. I'm going to try to work to my colleagues to move it to a better place. I recognize that in the legislative process, there are wins and losses, and then sometimes there are compromises. That's what we have to do. So if I can find a way to make this bill better, I'm going to. But to vote for something that's going to result in more incarceration of innocent Black people without any evidence that it's going to make us safer, I just can't do that. And I don't think we should.
Moving on, we know that D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has introduced emergency legislation last week that would impose an 11 p.m. curfew on people ages 17 years and younger. Councilmember White, I live in the Navy Yard, and I have been made privy to the recklessness, if you will, with regard to some of the actions that the youth has been a part of. And so I would assume this is, in essence, a way to combat that, to deal with that directly. I'm curious, your take on this.
I support this measure. You know, I think we have to move away from this narrative that everybody is either, you know, quote unquote, soft on crime or tough on crime. The reality is most of us are trying to figure out what's right because we have to keep our city safe. Our young people are, as we say, wilding out at Navy Yard and some other places. And we've got to ask, like, where are the parents? I have young kids. They're not going to be out at 11 o'clock causing trouble. But we have to put a curfew on to keep our kids safe. And to keep our community safe. And one thing that is important for us to understand as a community is that we are setting a curfew on young people that we love. When they get to these federal agencies under the presidential administration, they don't love our kids the way that we do. And so we want to keep them out of the federal bullseye. We want to start to correct their actions and make sure young people know you can't just go into a neighborhood, start running into stores, jumping on tables. We can't do that. So unfortunately, I think we need a curfew right now. And I hope our young people see this as a call to action for themselves.
You made mention of love, and speaking of love, you plan to spread the love unlike any other. I'm talking about the Men's Wellness Day, Brother to Brother. You see it right there on your TV screen, set to get underway Saturday, June 28th, 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. It all surrounds mental health awareness.
That's right. We don't talk enough about mental health, especially as Black people and Black men in particular. You know, I'm a Black dad. This is a tough time. We're holding a lot, and we need to share best practices, resources. We need to start to normalize these conversations. So we have some really exciting guests. I hope brothers will come out. And when I say brother, I mean all of us. Don't matter your skin color or, you know, complexion, what have you. We all need this. So come out to Eaton Hotel Saturday the 28th. There'll be a lot of folks that you know and recognize, a lot of great resources and opportunities to support each other.
All right, Councilmember Robert White, truly appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And yet again, happy Juneteenth.
Thanks, Guy. Good to see you.
No doubt. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Y'all having a good time at this celebration? Let me hear you. Now, don't forget, when you share your stories and photos on Instagram, make sure you're tagging @BroadwayLeague, all right? Again, we'd like to take a moment to thank the incredible sponsors who help bring Broadway Celebrates Juneteenth to life. A very special thank you to our sponsor, Flagstar Bank. We're also proud to recognize the generous support of the NYC Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, Broadway.com, Hell's Kitchen, MAC Cosmetics, Audio Rewards Merch, New 42, Playbill, Roll Color, and Sweet Hospitality Group.
I got you. Yeah, and we're honored to partner once again with the Times Square Alliance.
to make this celebration possible in the heart of Broadway. To all our sponsors, thank you for championing community, culture, and the power of live performance.
In conjunction with Juneteenth, June is also Black Music Month. Yeah! A big shout out to the Music Performance Trust Fund.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So my next guest really needs no introduction. That's because she is a talented artist that is quickly on the rise. Rosita Young, known professionally as Rosita, well, she's an actress and rapper whose dynamic presence is making waves across both the music and film industry. Right now, she has a single out. It's called Jody. I absolutely love it. You can check it out on all streaming platforms. Tomorrow, she's dropping none other than, get this, Fanned Out. But wait, there's more. You heard me make mention of that actress portion. Yeah, you can check her out on BET's American Gangster Trap Queens on BET Plus Original Series. And with that, Rosita joins us on the Live Zone. Good to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Girl, you are popping in all that and then some. So I want you to talk about your journey so far. I mean, obviously, I got a chance to watch the music video over and over and over again with regard to Jody. I absolutely love it. I just think it's the coolest thing. But now tomorrow, you're releasing Fanned Out, and you're doing it in a rather unique way.
Yeah. So yeah, my journey has been pretty crazy. I've always had a passion for music. Grew up in Los Angeles, originally from Mississippi. Grew up in Los Angeles. Went back to Mississippi for school. Southern Miss. I did the whole entertainment industry program. It was very well-rounded. I ended up in the New Orleans area as an actress. And I thought, you know what? I want to do music. And then I just got the opportunity about 2 years ago to start getting back into it. And it's been a dream come true.
Yeah.
We did Jody with PURP, who is a great friend of mine. I met him at Southern Miss. And then Akeem Ali, he's also from Mississippi. He's doing very well for himself right now. He worked with us on this project. And it was everything I wanted it to be. Having an acting background, I was very concerned about it having all the aesthetics of an actual movie. I wanted it to be like a mini movie, and it turned out to be.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put a little comedy in there too. That's my thing.
I know,
like
I've seen it.
Comedy, so.
Yeah, no, you got it all, but what I did not know is that you attended Southern Miss. See, I attended the University of Alabama, so we got that little SEC thing going on right there.
Yeah.
Got to keep that thing going. I love what you're doing with the new single Fanned Out, which yet again is released tomorrow. And it's really, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about let's say a young lady that's just fanning out over her favorite celebrity. And in this case, you take it to TikTok to say, you know what? I want you to fan out, and then you're going to do what?
Look, I'm giving out some Chris Brown tickets to the New Orleans show.
Wow.
We're going to do like a little thing, like show me who got you fanned out and you're going. And it's like, you know, I've been fanned out before too myself. And I was embarrassed about it for a while. I'm like, okay. And now seeing like other girls, you know, go to concerts and, you know, they're paying top dollar for photos. I said, okay, I'm not the only one. So y'all can relate to me on this. I'm not the only one out here fanned out.
but Rosita, how does it feel to know that at one point you were fanning out and now you got fans fanning out over you?
It's crazy. It's like a full circle. People have told me, like, look, you got me fanned out. Like, they're in my DMs. I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know, and it's crazy. People whose posters I used to have on my wall growing up in my DMs, like, I love you, you're great. And I'm just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but as you heard me make mention, wait, there's more, and that is you are really taking the acting world by storm. I just love this, and that is you're a part of the BET's American Gangster Trap Queens. How in the heck did that happen?
It was random. I got a call one day to audition for it, and I did, and the producer loved me. She's like, oh my God, I love you. You're gonna, like, it's you. I know it's you. And we tell stories about queens, women who, you know, they got some money in some uncommon ways, talking about millions of dollars. So we're recreating those stories and just telling how they did what they did, giving them a chance to redeem themselves. So I'm looking forward to this one. This one is very interesting. I was lucky to get a very interesting one, so I'm waiting to see it.
Hey, was Jeezy a part of that? Is he in this as well?
I don't know about this season for sure, but I know he was a part of previous seasons.
Yeah. Well, yet again, I mean, all I care about is that you're doing your thing. Quite honestly, I just think that's so cool. And I always like when I have a chance to chit chat with somebody like you. I always love posing the question for the young lady that's watching right now that has, you know, they have dreams of following in your footsteps. What would you say to her?
Don't give up. It's good. Sometimes it may be roadblocks. Sometimes you may feel like it's not working out. Sometimes you may feel like giving up, but then you'll get that one phone call that will change your life. It happened to me. Like, I thought this was never going to happen for me. And then, but you got to be ready too. You got to stay ready so you won't have to get ready, because when that call comes, you got to be ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always heard you have to be prepared when the opportunity presents itself, which means it's got to be go time.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, it's definitely go time. Folks that want to find out more information about Rosita or get a chance to check out your new single, how can they go about to do so?
I'm on all platforms now. Tomorrow, Fans Out will be on all platforms as well. My YouTube page, Rosita Vivo, and I'm on all platforms, social media, Rose Got Talents, ROSEGOTTALENTS.
No doubt. Actress, musician, but most importantly for me, my SEC buddy, Rosita, joining us right here on the Live Zone. This was fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome. All right, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, producer Chris joining us with all things sizzling.
Put her there. That's how we greet each other,
Yeah.
right? Maybe a hug, maybe a side hug, maybe one of those bro hugs type of. Exactly. This story, on the other hand, what we're about to talk about here first, a little bit different, a little bit more intimate, if you will. We're talking about the premiere of Jurassic World Rebirth. Take a look at how this went down. That's Scarlett Johansson, that's her co-star Jonathan Bailey, and between them, a kiss on the lips.
That's what I thought I saw.
Yeah, and social media had some feelings about this lip lock, if you will. Scarlett Johansson is married. Jonathan Bailey, her co-star, is openly gay.
Okay.
So clearly they had no issues. There's not necessarily any sort of romance there.
Yeah.
Social media felt otherwise. They felt maybe it was a bit too far, a bit too familiar, if you will, especially because Scarlett Johansson is married to Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
Now, we've talked about similar stories before. I don't know if you remember Michael Ealy and Megan Good, I believe. He picked her up and hugged her and kind of twirled around with her while Jonathan Majors stood there on the sideline. And a lot of people said, ooh, was that a, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously they know each other very, very well.
Yeah.
How do you?
I don't have a problem.
I don't have
if
a
you
problem.
look at it, because we kept on replaying it, she went in for the kiss. She took his head and then turned it in for, you know, him to kiss her, or she kissed him. So I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it either. I think this is one of those instances, and social media does this from time to time, much ado about nothing. Now, what I would rather focus on in this clip is Jonathan Bailey's outfit. Now, this is a premiere. We have talked before about the discrepancy between men and women on the red carpet. Scarlett Johansson, obviously dressed to the nines in her dress. He is wearing a baseball hat, let's call it a sport coat, a blue shirt, and khaki pants. Now, there is a reason for this, and I just saw this also on social media a little earlier. They are saying that he is paying homage to some of the actors and scenes in the original Jurassic Park with his red carpet fit. So in one, he was wearing all black and sunglasses. That's your Jeff Goldblum, Dr. Ian Malcolm. This one, more of an homage to Dr. Alan Grant, who was the paleontologist in the group in the original movie and spent most of the movie wearing khakis and a shirt. Now his hat, this is key, his hat says Friends, and social media thinks that is an homage to one of the most famous paleontologists of all time, Dr. Ross Geller, aka David Schwimmer, from the TV show Friends, who was a dinosaur expert paleontologist in that show. If true, I absolutely love that. Those are the little touches sometimes that I am absolutely floored that social media undefeated when it comes to like the detectives. They catch everything, and I am here for it.
I wonder if he came up with that or his stylist.
I wonder that as well. So often when there are those little tributes, whose idea it was, and if someone came to me with those sort of, absolutely, run with it, run with it.
Oh, that's funny. If we were to do that here at Fox 5, for let's say we're on
Now, I'm going to take you back a couple years, and I'm going to name drop some former colleagues who no longer work here at Fox 5. But one year on Halloween, the picture still lives out there on the internet. You can look it up. Allison Seymour showed up dressed as Tony Perkins, her co-anchor.
That's so funny.
And it was a riot.
Oh, that is so funny.
Mustache and everything. Sheer perfection, sheer perfection.
Oh, good news, colleagues. That's funny. Matter of fact, as soon as we're done, I'm going to Google that so I can check it out.
It's great. We need a little mood music to set up this next story.
Let's
we're going to stick with movies. Hit it, producer Emmy.
I love that.
I mean, Academy Award winning soundtrack to the movie Jaws. John Williams, 2 notes, changed the course of cinema forever. Tomorrow, June 20th, marks 50 years since Jaws premiered at the box office. It is considered the first summer blockbuster ever.
Wow.
And absolutely changed movie going as we know it. At the time, earned just $7 million in its opening weekend. Went on to be the first movie to break the $100 million mark at the box office. Total global box office by the time it was done, $476 million. Today's money, that would be over $1 billion.
Easy.
The story behind this movie, just as great, honestly, as the movie itself. If you haven't seen it, sorry, spoiler alert. The shark doesn't show up until nearly an hour into the movie, maybe even more. And that was not on purpose. In fact, they were having issues with the animatronic shark from the saltwater where they filmed it off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. It kept breaking down. And so they felt they needed to just use suspense instead to establish a little bit of that terror. Movie went on to earn 3 Academy Awards, none for acting, all for sound and music, like I said, with John Williams. A lot of kind of reminiscing now The island of Martha's Vineyard has been celebrating for the past few months and will continue to. They have a lot of themed events, concerts, movie screenings. There's a new documentary out that's premiering, I believe, on Nat Geo. It is by Robert Zemeckis. Steven Spielberg is involved in it, really looking back at kind of the process of making this movie. It was based on a book. It was one of Steven Spielberg's first major motion pictures. He had done one real movie before that. He was only 27 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Peter Benchley wrote the first draft of the script. He's the writer of the original book. However, he said he wasn't really a screenwriter, so he brought in some rewrites. The actors, they wanted names, but Steven Spielberg didn't want stars. Roy Scheider, who obviously plays our police chief. Then we have Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper, our oceanographer and shark expert. Then we have the shark hunter, Robert Shaw, aka Quint. He actually helped write the scene you just saw there for a brief second, the monologue about his time on the USS Indianapolis, which was the ship that delivered the atomic bomb to Japan. It's based on a true story. He had a hand in crafting that monologue that was just one of the scene-stealing scenes of the movie, besides the shark, of course. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh God, that's
one of the
favorite
most
line,
iconic lines of all time. Spawned 3 sequels, all garbage. I'm sorry, but it's true. Steven Spielberg was not involved in any of them. The second one was still set on Amity Island. Roy Scheider's back. It kind of tells the story of his son. The third one set at SeaWorld, Jaws 3D. It was shot in 3D. The technology back then, not necessarily the best. Struggled. Also starred Dennis Quaid, I believe. Now, Jaws 4, I have a soft spot in my heart for. That one stars Mario Van Peebles as kind of a friend of the son of the original character in the first one. Set in Jamaica. The mom from the first one is back. It goes a little overboard, but there's still some fun scenes in it. However, I have been scared to swim in the ocean ever since I saw that movie, and not just me. It scared an entire generation of people out of the ocean as a result. It also, I don't think we would have Shark Week like we have now every summer for years, decades, generations, if it wasn't for this movie.
Well said. No, you hit the nail right on the head with that one.
You can check it out, streaming on Peacock now if you want to check it out.
Good stuff. I'll do that perhaps later this afternoon.
It holds up.
It really does. It's a great movie. All right. Producer Chris with all things
Bruce
sizzling.
the Shark. Fun fact. There you go. Bruce the Shark.
Right here on the Live Zone. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, you're taking a live look at the White House press briefing room where Shortly after 1 o'clock, we are expecting a press briefing from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Of course, the Middle East conflict between Israel and Iran top of mind. When that happens, shortly after 1 o'clock, we'll take you there live right here on the Live Zone. Well, it's an issue that's truly concerning. You see, symptoms of beech leaf disease are worsening throughout the state of Maryland. For those of you who are not familiar, it's caused by a worm-like animal that lives inside the tree leaves and buds. Symptoms are best seen from the underside of the, well, let's say the leaf, with young trees having the potential to be killed within 1 year of infection. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is local arborist Lou Meyer, right here on the Live Zone. And Lou, before we even get started, I got to tell you, wow, that's the best shot I've seen all day, sir.
Hey, that's what I'm shooting for. So I got a beautiful beech tree behind me right here. I'm on the grounds of the Howard County Conservancy up in Howard County, where we've got some prized beeches. It's beautiful.
Lou, so I got to tell you, I was not really familiar with this, and once I saw this report, it caused concern for me, and I'm sure it causes concern for you as an arborist. What exactly should we be looking out for, and how serious is this?
Yeah, so it's fairly new to our area. It was discovered about 2012 in Northeast Ohio, and it has since moved eastward. As you said earlier, it's an issue that's caused by a nematode, which is a microscopic worm that lives in the leaves of the tree and then overwinters in the buds. Our thought is that this worm also vectors in a fungus that can clog up the pores of the tree. It just causes damage. It causes defoliation, and it causes the leaves to change, and it really affects them. It's a serious issue, though. It does kill the younger beeches, and it can kill the larger beeches, the more mature ones as well.
So that tree you're standing next to, as I look at it, it looks like the tree that I would see in my backyard. Can you describe yet again, or for our viewers, can you explain what that tree is?
Beech trees have very smooth bark, and you asked about identification. So they've got a very smooth bark, almost like an elephant's trunk. And then the leaves themselves are the serrated leaves, so they've got little points on them. And what you said earlier, too, you can identify this pest by looking up on sunny days just like this. And this tree does not have any signs of it. But if it did, you would see dark green coloration in between where these veins are. And the veins themselves would be the light green. So you get these light and dark variations. It could easily be confused with the shadowing here, but that's not the beech leaf disease, that's just the shadow. But you see it in those leaves. And then over time, those leaves would become thicker. So when you touch them, they'd feel almost thicker than the other leaves if they were infected.
Wow. So obviously I saw you just touching the tree and touching the leaves, so perhaps no harm to humans, correct?
No harm to humans. The nematode can't affect you. It doesn't affect animals that are feeding on it, as far as we know. So if you have dogs, beeches produce those beech nuts that fall. If your dogs are eating them, we haven't seen any signs of issues traveling to them. So nothing to worry about for us, but for the beech population, it is a concern. There are some solutions. There are treatments that arborists at Davy Tree or other companies can help you put together.
Wow, gosh, it's so fascinating. I mean, this is something that it's like right out of a movie, quite honestly, and to think that it's actually happening right here in our own backyard. Have we seen this before?
We have not. No, this is a new one. So the beech species have been pretty much untouched by foreign influences, by issues like this. Now, there are health issues that affect all trees. They're living beings like us or our pets, so constant input is required, whether that be nutrient input through fertilization, pruning out the dead limbs, those kinds of things to keep the trees healthy. But in beech trees specifically, this disease is a new thing.
Wow. All right, so Lou, I hate to be redundant here, but I guarantee you there are folks watching right now and saying, can he show us one more time? Can you pan one more time with regard to what we need to look for to see if this is actually an issue?
Absolutely. So what you do is stand under a beech tree on a sunny day like this, and you look up at the leaves, and you're looking for, so the veins, which are the little lines, and then there's the tissue in between those. If that tissue is dark green, so you've got light color bands where the veins are, but dark green in between, kind of like this shaded portion here, but through the leaves, that is a sign that your beech tree may be infected with beech leaf disease. Wow. It doesn't affect other species, so that's good. If you have a maple or a sycamore or an oak, you don't have to worry about it. But any of the beech species can catch or can get this issue.
All right. Lou, one of the things I love most, especially during this time of the year, is, let's say, driving up and down the coast, or in this case, let's say, the BW Parkway and what have you. You see the amazing trees. They're lush. They're filled with plenty of leaves. Well, will this affect the landscape, if you will?
Yeah, so beeches are a pretty widespread species of tree in our forests. So it depends where you are, right? Different forests have different mixes, but the beeches are a dominant species. So this will affect us quite a bit. We don't know to what extent yet. We know the younger trees are more susceptible. We don't know how bad it's affecting the large trees just yet. But yes, we will see changes in the landscape.
Wow. All right. So you learn something new every day, and I definitely learned something new today. Folks that want to find out more information about this, Lou, how would one go about to do so?
Yeah, well, you can go to davie.com and look up our local office to come out and inspect your trees and to give you some solutions. Also reach out to the extension agencies. So Maryland Extension Agency, the Virginia Extension Agency, these all have resources for homeowners to learn more about specifically beech leaf disease, but any tree or pest issue out there.
Truly valuable information yet again by Mr. Lou Meyer, and he is an arborist, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate your time. This was very informative, sir.
We love talking trees. I wish it was a happier thing, but yes, we love talking trees. So,
good stuff. We love having you. You're welcome. All right, guys. Yet again, we are awaiting a White House press briefing. That should be getting underway in just about 5 minutes or so. But, well, you know the deal. Typically, they run a couple of minutes behind. But yet again, when that starts, we'll take you there live right here on the Live Zone. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone on a Feel Good Thursday. Look who's back!
I'm back with a fresh sunburn.
We need like something falling down on you.
Right? Like aloe.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Annie Mae joining us with our Thursday talkers right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So, I think you're going to like these talkers today. It was funny. I was riding the Metro this morning, and I kept on looking at this first one. I'm like, really? You'll see why in just a second. In this case, we're talking about customer satisfaction with regard to restaurants. You see, according to a newly released study, Chick-fil-A, well, it notched the highest customer satisfaction score. That's not surprising to me.
Yeah.
However, number 2, Panda Express. What? Number 3, Starbucks, followed by Arby's, Panera Bread, and Papa John's. Yet again, the best customer satisfaction. Would you agree with that?
Okay, well, yeah, Chick-fil-A. I think everybody with a pulse would agree that Chick-fil-A has the best customer service. They're like, here, take my paycheck. I'm like, okay, thank you. That, I mean, I feel like coffee shops are for the most part fine, where I'll ask for something different. I'll ask for something in addition. They're usually pretty nice about it. What was number 2 again?
Panda Express.
Panda Express. Okay, I like Panda Express. I'm haven't been to Panda Express a crazy amount of times. It's not somewhere I consistently go like Chick-fil-A or like Starbucks. But I mean, I've never had a bad experience.
I'm just thinking it's because I'll see like the beef and broccoli, and then I also see like the orange chicken. And I'm like, hey, can I try like this, that? And so maybe perhaps that's why they're getting a high.
They also do have like really generous portion sizes.
That
Like
is
they're
true.
very generous with their portion sizes, and you can't say the same about Chipotle. I'll straight up say it. Like, it's Chipotle. Like, it's Chipotle.
Oh my gosh, I always have to ask for more, like, let's say sour cream.
And they act like you just kicked their puppy. When you ask for a couple of extra beans on the side, they're like, they freak out.
I would say my fave is probably Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin'.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me. Dunkin's my entire personality. I love
Absolutely
Dunkin'.
love that. All right, well, let us know what you think. Hashtag Fox5 Live Zone with regard to restaurant customer satisfaction.
There we go.
All right, so you were just in, well, I won't tell folks where you were, but you were traveling, let's say. And happened to be near, perhaps, Disneyland. Why am I bringing that up? Well, apparently, a father of 5 went to visit Disneyland. Now, he shared a photo on social media with regard to what he paid for his family of 5 at dinner. Annie Mae, $937. Can you believe this? And so apparently, he posted it to social media. It's been seen now by almost 17 million people. And, well, this one person said, can you please tell me you just paid for 35 kids, not just 5?
Okay, this doesn't surprise me if it's the character dinners. Have you seen those?
I have not,
Okay,
no.
so the character dinner is when they have, like, the characters come around and walk around and interact with the kids and walk around for dinner. I haven't actually ever done it myself, but it basically is like you having Minnie Mouse personally walk up to you and have dinner with you, essentially. So that's probably why it's more. But also, I mean, like, everybody knows that Disney's really expensive.
God.
Tickets, parking, they get you the parking in addition to the tickets, in addition to the food and the drinks and the, oh gosh, it's definitely a lot of money to go these days, and that doesn't, I mean, the $900 tab kind of surprises me, but that it's expensive, not really.
Yeah, 2 adults, 3 kids.
Yeah.
So what is a Coke? Maybe $35?
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's a cocktail these days. Depends on what you got in it. You got some Jack in your Coke? I don't know. It depends.
Yeah, you know, I guess it's a sign of the times, but at the same time, we have now ventured into an era where you have to make so much money in order to just take your family out.
I think we're gonna reach a point, to be completely honest, where people just go, okay, I'm not gonna go out. We're gonna reach a plateau. I think we're people who are like, I'm not gonna go out to dinner anymore. I'm not gonna go out and fast food anymore. And then I think it'll kind of come back down.
I have a feeling I'm going to get a call from, let's say, my sister saying, Guy, can you dress up as Mickey Mouse? Because we're doing it at home.
Because we're doing it and it won't be $900, let me tell you.
I think I'll just charge her 10. So I still got to make a
$10.
buck.
You gotta make some money. Come on now. Family discount.
Hey, speaking of money, a lot of folks still trying to save money with regard to the price of eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I know they have decreased as of late, but well, not enough for most Americans. Would you believe a number of Americans, more than ever before, are now looking up do-it-yourself chicken coops? Why? Because they're building them in the backyard in an effort to save money on eggs, Annie Mae.
This is insane. I mean, okay, wait, like I would literally love a little chicken coop, but then I think I would actually have to take care of them and I'd be like, oh crap, I have to take care of all these chickens. But to do this because you don't like the price of eggs is so dramatic and probably ends up costing you more in the long run. You have to feed the chickens, you have to take care of, like, think about the amount of time you probably have to end up working from home if you have chickens in your backyard. I don't know.
Or you're going to tick off the neighbors.
Well, the sacrifices that you have to make, there's probably county permits that you have to have. Like, the sacrifices that you have to make to just spend, what, it's like $3 now? I mean, it was at one point, I remember, up to like $8 I was paying for it. But here's an idea, don't eat eggs for 2 months. Just don't eat eggs for 2 months. And then it went back down, and I didn't. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm fine. Sub it for something else. This goes back to my original point that I always make of financial responsibility. If you can't afford something, find an alternative for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel bad.
I would try it just because it's something different.
Yeah.
I would obviously fail.
Chicken coop.
Oh, God, I would feel so bad. Chickens would run around all through,
bring them in here?
Show up at your house, knocking on the door.
Name them 1, 2, and 4 and release them.
And then at what point do you release them, or do they end up on your dinner table at some point?
They probably will end up on your dinner table.
Hey, it's a quick way to make
you
a
know,
buck.
Super Bowl comes around, you need some wings. Toodles to your chickens, your winter chickens.
Oh gosh. All right, yet again, let us know if you plan on building a chicken coop in your backyard. Fox 5 Live Zone. We'd love to know.
Thanks, Guy.
It's gonna be funny. You see somebody with a selfie with like a little chicken.
Hey, I wonder if they do a peace sign.
Annie Mae with All Things Thursday Talkers right here on the Live Zone. This was fun. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, yet again waiting a White House press briefing from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. There's been some movement, so that should get underway, let's say, in the next 5 minutes or so. In the meantime, a big day in Prince George's County. Earlier today, AISHA BRAVEBOY sworn in as the next Prince George's County executive. It was somewhat star-studded. You see Governor Westmore there. I believe we saw actress Taraji P. Henson as well. Let's take a listen in.
It's not a home of worship. But my Bible taught me in Matthew that when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, that I'm there in the midst of you. So today is the day the Lord hath made, and we are going to rejoice and we're going to be glad in it. I am, first, I just want to say to our chair, man, God bless you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your commitment to the people. And for being someone who never, ever forgets who sent us here and the people who we respond to solely. Thank you for your guidance, and thank you for always being such a remarkable partner, not just to our county executive, but to the entire state. Today is not just a great day for Prince George's County. Today is a great day for the state of Maryland. Taraji, I just want to say bless you. There you go. But never forgetting the area you from. And by the way, if y'all ain't seen Straw yet, let me tell you something. My Amazing Bride, our first lady, we watched that last week together. And I was like, this should not just be mandatory for everybody to watch. I want to be clear, that film should be mandatory for every lawmaker. Because you did such a brilliant job of reminding us that sometimes we wear the mask without realizing the pain that sits behind it. And I want to thank you for not being, I say not just an actress, but you're you're like a part actor, part activist. You're like a activist. I want to thank you. I want to say I'm grateful for being here with so many remarkable friends and public servants. I also want to acknowledge our amazing Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. I want to thank all the members of the Prince George's County Council for your leadership and how you continue to push and fight for the county every single day. Madam Vice Chair. I want to thank the entire Prince George's County delegation who is doing the thing in Annapolis and making sure the Prince George's County is lifted up. And by the way, Senator Muse, that book of Matthew, that's from you, sir. I want to thank our amazing local leadership, all of our mayors, everybody here in the county that understands that change has not just happened, change is made to happen. I want to acknowledge all of our other statewide elects. I know our Comptroller, Brooke Learman, is here. It is wonderful to be with you, Comptroller. I want to thank our extraordinary federal delegation. I have said it once, I have said it twice, and I'm going to keep on saying it. I am the luckiest governor in America because we have the delegation that we have and the representatives from Prince George's County. I see Representative Hoyer and Representative Ivey. I want to thank you for being such remarkable partners inside this work. I want to specifically acknowledge somebody who I got to tell you, Prince George's, you got someone who is making you proud in Washington, D.C. right now. The work that Angela also Brooks is doing down in Washington, D.C. Yes, 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 yes. Let's be clear, Washington, they weren't ready. But they get familiar real quick. And the fact that you, and also want to acknowledge the large footprints that and we are so excited to watch AISHA BRAVEBOY take the mantle as county executive. We also understand that the work that the predecessors have done before. So to our senator, to our now senator, also to our now state's attorney. I haven't seen Tara Jackson. I want to give a special acknowledgement to you. For the remarkable work that you did, and for the remarkable work that you continue to do. And I want to let you know the same way that I was very clear that Prince George's County, as long as I'm the governor, will always have a friend. In Annapolis, I want to extend that same message that I sent to the county executive. You, Madam State's Attorney, I want to send that same message to you. God bless you and congratulations. You know, I'm sorry, Senator Van Hollen. I just want to give an acknowledgement to our senior senator. Please stand, Mr. Van Hollen. Please stand, Senator. I apologize. He had turned the corner. I didn't see him. God bless you, Senator Van Hollen, for always making us proud every single day in the work that you were doing. God bless you and thank you. And to all, before my wife yells at me again, for all the distinguished guests, public servants, and family members, this is your day. And so I have the gift of being married to my best friend and one of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my life, our First Lady, Dawn Moore. And I always say about Dawn is that she was born and bred in New York City. But let's be clear, Prince George's County, y'all helped raise her. And And I remember the first time that I got a chance to meet with the county executive. It was over, I don't know if you remember this, it was over at PJ's Coffee. Yes. So my wife was like, let me introduce you to my friend. She's like, she's been my friend since college. And she was like, you know, she's a really important voice. And she's like, you know, let's go ask to see if she'll support in this gubernatorial race. And you're absolutely right, Mr. Chair. Those numbers weren't looking very good. Politics is a very humbling business sometimes. And but she's like, of course, you know, come through and come bring your husband. And so I get a chance to meet AISHA over in PJ's Coffee. And from the first time, and y'all know the feeling, from the first time you get a smile from AISHA BRAVEBOY, you know you're in a safe place. And I remember first asking our First Lady, and I said, you know, what is it, how would you describe AISHA? And she said, I describe her in one word: fearless. Fearless. And when she turned around and supported our campaign when I was, you know, when I was ranked number 9, maybe even 10, actually, definitely. One, I knew that, yes, she was fearless, because for her to give an endorsement in those kind of conditions, I was like, she definitely is fearless. But I got a chance to understand what it meant by being fearless. What it meant to be someone who was not looking to do the thing that everybody said to do, but would always stand up for the thing that she thought was right. That didn't mean that she was going to answer to the powers that be or the interests. That she answered to the people. And since taking office, I have had the honor of watching her work up close. And I got to tell you, from the work that I have already seen, you should understand why I am so excited about the future in Prince George's County. Because she is someone who has shown that she doesn't just have a vision for the future, but she's someone who's shown that she knows how to deliver upon that future as well. That she's been doing the work as a delegate, she's been doing the work as a prosecutor, she's been doing the work as a public servant, and now I am so excited that she's going to be doing the work as Prince George's County's county executive. Madam County Executive, it is absolutely right. You have the full-throated support of this administration and the full-throated support of this entire state. And I think about the work that she's already been doing. You know, listen, we talk about how when we came on board, we said our priority is going to make sure that people could feel safer in their own neighborhoods and in their own communities. And I'm so thankful for the work that we've done in coordination with so many of you in this room, our remarkable men and women in law enforcement. I want to give them a special shout out for all the work that they continue to do. Our remarkable community groups, our faith community, everybody leaning in, our elected officials, everybody leaning in together to bring the kind of results that we need. And while we are very proud of the fact that in the past 2.5 years, the state of Maryland has had amongst the fastest drops in violent crime anywhere in the United States of America. You cannot understand what's going on in the state of Maryland if you do not know the numbers that are taking place in Prince George's County. So since I'm a numbers guy, let's be clear. Let me share a few of the year-on-year results that we have seen in Prince George's County alone. Where in Prince George's County, we have seen not just historic drops, but in Prince George's County has helped to lead the state, while we have watched assaults down 13%, homicides down 34%, robbery down 49% in Prince George's County. The thing I love about numbers, y'all, is numbers don't have an opinion. Those are the numbers. And you do not get that by accident. You get that by coordination. You get that by partnership. You get that by intentionality. You get that by working together. And we are so thankful for the work that the state's attorney has done and the vision that I know she is now going to bring to the county executive seat. The thing we also appreciate and we know is that the challenges that we are facing in this moment are enormous. And we also know that leaders don't pick moments. Moments pick leaders. And in this moment, with so much on the line, we need County Executive AISHA BRAVEBOY. We need someone with her values and her character. We need someone with both the past experiences in the public and the private sector with bold and powerful aspirations for the future. We need someone who is completely committed to making our communities safer, more affordable, and more competitive for all, and that is what AISHA BRAVEBOY stands for. She doesn't just understand the gravity of this moment. She understands the gravity of the assignment and what this moment requires. She understands the urgency of this moment. She understands, in the words of Dr. King, why we can't wait. She understands that at a time when we're watching a widening racial wealth gap in the state of Maryland, that we cannot wait. She understands at a time when 1 in 8 Maryland children live in poverty, why we can't wait. She understands that at a time when we have people who are sitting in very high places with very big titles who are doing absolutely nothing with those titles nor positions. People who seem to be hell-bent on not celebrating our history, but erasing our history. And by the way, I want to say here in the state of Maryland, loud and proud, happy Juneteenth, everybody. She understands, in the words of Baldwin, the challenge is in the moment, and the time is always now. It's in this urgency that we celebrate our people. It's in this moment that we celebrate our urgency. It's in this moment that we celebrate our history. It is in the moment that we celebrate our path. It's in this moment that we celebrate Prince George's County. And it's in this moment that we celebrate Prince George's County's new county executive, my friend, AISHA BRAVEBOY. So thank you. God bless this county. God bless its county executive. God bless all of you. Madam County Executive, we love you, and I want to let you know Dawn and I are rooting for you every single day. God bless you and congratulations.
Let's give our governor another round of applause. I'd like to take just a minute to acknowledge some ambassadors who've joined us for this special ceremony today. The ambassadors of Nigeria, Grenada, Burkina Faso, and Guyana. Would you stand? And are there any other dignitaries in the room that we've not acknowledged? All right, we thank you so much. I also want to say, and I know the county executive will do this herself, but her parents are here, along with her sister and her niece. And we know how proud they must be at this moment. And now we have a special video tribute. It's a special tribute to AISHA BRAVEBOY, a visual journey through her decades of dedicated service, leadership, and love for Prince George's County.
But to those who are willing to listen, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. And pray for those who hurt you. We see a lot of hate. We see just a lot of divisiveness occurring, not just here locally, but also at the federal level. The only way we fight that is to love one another and to unify. We look forward to the sentencing. We look forward to asking for the appropriate punishment at sentencing, and we hope that justice will continue to be in the favor of Ms. Margaret Craig.
I said really at the beginning of my administration that crime is personal. It's personal to the victim. It's personal to our community, and it's really personal to me and my office. And when I think about individuals who prey upon the most vulnerable, our seniors in our community, I am just angry. So to hear from them what's happening, why these crimes are being committed, where these guns are coming from, why we're seeing the level of violence that we're seeing, and how does it impact them and their lives. It was powerful. Community has expectations. They expect that when a child is on a school bus, that they will return home safe, because we must work with our school system to get a much better process of identifying those kids that are not in school and finding out why they're not in school.
Justice! Word! Justice! Word! Justice! Justice!
And today,
All right, yet again, guys, you are watching the revisit of the swearing-in ceremony for County Executive AISHA BRAVEBOY. Obviously, she served as the Prince George's County State's Attorney prior to now taking on her new role. She was flanked today by none other than Maryland Governor Wes Moore. And, well, surprise, surprise, Taraji P. Henson also joined her as well, along with a number of council members. We're going to take you now to the White House, where any minute now we are expecting White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to make her way to that podium. We got the 2-minute mark maybe about 3 minutes ago or so, so she should be making her way to that podium. And as I stated, she's doing that right now.
President Trump's powerful efforts to secure our homeland are working. According to newly released numbers, last month, Border Patrol saw a 93% decrease of illegal aliens crossing the southwest border between ports of entry from May 2024 under Joe Biden, when they encountered more than 117,000 illegal aliens. And this particular statistic is absolutely astounding. In the month of May, under the Trump administration, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country by Border Patrol. Let me say that again. Not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States of America last month under this administration. Let's contrast that to Joe Biden's failed leadership, where immigration officers were wasting their finite time and resources processing dangerous illegal aliens for release into the United States. President Trump immediately terminated that reckless Biden-era practice that undermined the rule of law, jeopardized public safety and our national security, and diverted critical resources away from stopping deadly drugs and violent criminals from entering our country. That's the reason why not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States in the month of May. And as a result, we now have a border that is reaching unprecedented levels of operational success. The efforts by President Trump to stop the illegal immigrant invasion and secure the border in this short amount of time represent one of the greatest achievements by a presidential administration in the history of our great country. With illegal entries being overwhelmingly halted, the Trump administration is dramatically ramping up efforts to arrest and deport all of the millions of criminal illegal aliens that Joe Biden let into our country over the past 4 years. President Trump has directed all of our ICE officers to do everything in their power to carry out the single largest mass deportation operation in history. Illegal criminals who are hiding in America's largest so-called sanctuary cities will be increasingly targeted for removal. Radical Democrats will no longer be allowed to shelter illegals who threaten public safety as part of their cynical efforts to expand political power, drain the American taxpayer, and artificially lower wages and steal American jobs. ICE officers are courageous heroes, upholding the rule of law and keeping our citizens safe. And they have the full and unwavering support of this president. In economic news, President Trump's pro-growth agenda is delivering for the American worker. Through the first 5 months of the Trump administration, real blue-collar wages are up nearly 2%. It's the strongest growth in nearly 60 years and a stark contrast from the negative wage growth seen during the first 5 months of the Biden administration. America is quickly returning to the successful formula of the first Trump administration: low inflation and rising wages. Once the big, beautiful bill is passed, this positive trend will only accelerate. Senate Republicans are continuing to push this critical legislation forward. The One Big Beautiful Bill will drive growth and supercharge the American economy. The Council of Economic Advisors found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will raise take-home pay by nearly $14,000 for a year for the average family of 4. The CEA also found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will increase wages as much as $11,000 for the average worker in America. The One Big Beautiful Bill expands the child tax credit and makes it permanent for more than 40 million families with children. And the bill will deliver no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and substantial tax cuts for our incredible seniors. Simply put, the One Big Beautiful Bill is a massive win for middle-class Americans. When nearly 80 million Americans sent President Trump back to this White House, they were doing so expecting these popular policies to be enacted. Republicans in Congress have a mandate to deliver, and President Trump demands they send this historic bill to his desk for signature by Independence Day, July 4th. The American people are fully behind President Trump. According to brand new polling from Insider Advantage, a clear 54% majority of Americans approve of the job President Trump is doing. That's because this president is keeping his promises and taking action every day to improve their lives. And passing this bill will help fulfill a number of President Trump's core campaign promises. Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick it off for questions here in our new media seat. We have Eli Lake from the Free Press. Eli, go ahead.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
The Free Press. The decision to extend the, I guess, delay in enforcing the TikTok ban.
Sure.
Can you talk about how the White House understands its constitutional authority in light of the Supreme Court's decision in January that said that the president had to enforce the ban?
Sure. Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal. And the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have reviewed this executive order, and I can get it for you. I think it's on our website by now. If it's not, my team will now put it up immediately. And you can read the language in that executive order. And the White House counsel's office and the Department of Justice strongly believe in the legal rationale rationale for this executive order. They wouldn't have the president's pen hit it if they didn't. And the political reasoning for this, of course, is because the president made a promise to keep TikTok on. There are 100 million Americans who use this app. It's widely popular. He also wants to protect Americans' data and privacy concerns on this app, and he believes we can do both things at the same time. So he's making an extension so we can get this deal done.
Can I get a follow-up?
Sure.
A few weeks ago, Tucker Carlson reported on a meeting between the president, Mark Levin, and others at the White House. Is there a leak investigation, and can you say who else was in that meeting?
I'm not aware of a leak investigation at this time. I, for one, do not reveal details about the president's private meetings without his permission to do so. But certainly the president does not like when people leak. He takes that very seriously. This entire administration takes that seriously, and that's why you've seen at agencies some of the cabinet secretaries have been given the authority by the president to let go of staff who are engaged in such leaks, especially those that risk American national security. Sure. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you. So Rhino warmonger Lindsey Graham, he recently called on the U.S. to go all in.
That's quite the lead to a question.
Right. What's your message to everyday Trump supporters? Not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war with voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war. What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, "America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists." In 2015, the president said, "The problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States." And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
A follow-up?
Sure. Go ahead, Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Can you confirm whether Steve Witkoff has been in touch with the Iranian foreign minister? And does Witkoff plan to go to Geneva tomorrow for talks?
I am not tracking that on Mr. Witkoff's travel schedule, but I can certainly check in with him to be sure. As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Thanks, Kelly. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
And is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance, is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale the president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Caroline.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of like, we expect like a 2-week deadline and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia, Ukraine, might I add, these are 2 very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to Russia and Ukraine, because of that American strength and the president's leadership, we have seen these two sides engage in direct negotiations. And the last time the president said 2 weeks, you saw Russia and Ukraine have direct negotiations for the first time in years. And so the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add. Francesca.
Thanks, Caroline. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not, Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms. And that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
To follow up on what you told Natalie, are the talks that the United States is currently having with Iran direct, or are those through intermediaries? And if so, which countries are acting as the intermediary right now?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions and negotiations, I am not going to get into the details of them. We've provided you confirmation for now. Go ahead. Sure, and then behind you too.
Oh, okay. Sorry, so thanks. Sorry, on the topic of negotiations and talks, does the president have any hopes or specific expectations for the talks tomorrow between European foreign secretaries and their Iranian counterpart?
Well, certainly the entire world is on the president's side when it comes to the fact that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. This is something that pretty much all of humanity, except for the Iranian terrorist regime themselves, agree upon. And so the president expects that Europe will deliver that message directly to the Iranians.
Why does President Trump believe that this 90-day extension on TikTok will provide more runway perhaps than the previous extensions that haven't led to a divestment deal?
Because it's more time to make a good deal. Simple question. Dasha?
Thank you so much. I know things are going day by day. Right now, the president wants maximum optionality. Is the possibility of the U.S. getting involved in regime change in Iran at all on the table at this point? And then I have one on
Sure. The president's top priority right now is ensuring that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon and providing peace and stability in the Middle East.
On Medicaid, Caroline,
Sure.
The Senate put forward Medicaid provisions, particularly a lower cap on state provider taxes that hospitals have said would lead to mass closures, particularly in rural communities. Is the president willing to sign a bill that includes those provisions that Republican senators like Josh Hawley say will lead to hospital closures?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions that the White House is very much actively involved in with our friends in the United States Senate, I won't comment on that specific provision. Look, the bill hasn't been sent to the president's desk yet. There's more room for change. The president, for one, I will reiterate, has been very clear on his priorities with respect to Medicaid. He wants to see waste, fraud, and abuse ridden from the system to protect it for tax-paying citizens who deserve those much-needed benefits. He wants to prioritize the sick, the needy, the poor in this country who deserve those benefits, not the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are receiving them. And he wants to make sure this one big beautiful bill kicks those illegal aliens off of this program to preserve it and protect it and strengthen it for the American people. And the president has been very clear in that message to his friends in the Senate. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Sure. Logistically, if the Iranians are getting to Geneva, does that mean they've found a way to get to the White House?
I am not going to get into hypotheticals, but as you heard from the president yesterday, they have expressed interest in doing so.
There's a lot of pressure on the president to come to the aid of Israel. There's a lot of pressure on him to finish the job with force. How is he balancing the concern that if he doesn't choose to do that, that it would send a message to Xi Jinping about the U.S. commitment to Taiwan?
Well, the president enjoys a very respectful and cordial relationship with China's president. He has long maintained that, even in his first term. And China and the United States share many strategic interests, both in terms of economics and also, of course, global affairs and foreign policy as well. However, when it comes to balancing these different viewpoints, the president is balancing a lot of viewpoints, and he is listening not just to other world leaders, but to his advisors and to people here in the country and the American people too. And I think that's what makes this president such a great leader, is his ability to listen and make a good decision on behalf of the American public based on his instincts and his experience. Don't forget, this is a president who was here before, and the world was a much more peaceful and stable place when he left office than when he came back in after the past 4 years of complete incompetence by the previous president. Philip, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Two quick questions. When the president says Iran is very close to a nuclear weapon, is he relying on U.S. intelligence or intelligence sharing from an ally to make that assessment?
It is a fact, and the United States government maintains this fact, that Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
And then if the U.S. were to take some type of military action, would the president go to Congress to seek war authority?
I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals. I gave you the statement from the president. He'll make a decision within 2 weeks.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Mary and then Elizabeth.
Two questions, one on Iran and then the second on something Jasmine Crockett said this morning. So given that we know the Iranian government did order an operative to assassinate the president, is there concern that Iran might respond with non-traditional military ways to some kind of strike on Iran, such as another assassination attempt? And has the Department of Justice looked into this last attempt on the president's life?
I believe Secret Service and the FBI have looked into the 2 assassination attempts that took place against the president, both of which were sad days in our nation's history. So I would defer you to the Department of Justice on where those investigations stand. But as for your question regarding Iranian retaliation, I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals again, but I can assure the American public and the world that this administration is prepared and ready to defend American interests and assets, not just in the region, but here on our homeland as well.
Thank you. And then really quick on Jasmine Crockett, she said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself. Jennifer.
One on North Korea and one on China. On North Korea, they launched some rockets into the ocean today. What does the White House make of that? Do you read any meaning into that timing of that launch? And then on China, do you have any reaction to Xi Jinping's offer of intervening in Iran diplomatically? And are you seeing any signs that China would get involved militarily to support Iran?
I don't believe we're seeing any signs of that at this moment in time. As for Xi Jinping's offer, I will leave it to the president to respond to that himself. As for your question about North Korea, we are monitoring the situation. The Trump administration is in close contact with our new South Korean counterparts as we work together to deter our adversaries and preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific. And no matter where, our adversaries and our allies alike know that President Trump will not tolerate threats against our interests on his watch, even as he works to resolve the wars that he inherited. Alex, go ahead, and then I'll come to you.
Thank you. Is the president concerned about the economy if farms and hotels, et cetera, struggle to find workers?
The president's always concerned about the economy. That's on his mind every day. He wakes up, he checks the markets, he checks wage growth. As I pointed out, it's a record high today for middle class and American workers. So the president's always wanting to ensure that we have a strong and robust economy for the American people and worker, and we do. As for the specific concerns regarding jobs, look, the president has made it very clear we need to remove public safety threats from the interior of our country, and that remains the focus and the priority of this administration when it comes to deportations, no matter where somebody works. If they're an illegal alien rapist or murderer that was allowed into this country in the past 4 years by this administration, the American people want those types of criminals to be deported from our country, and that's what the president is backing ICE to do.
Thanks. There was an apparent skirmish between the Chinese and the Philippines in the South China Sea. Just curious if you had any reaction to that, and if the steps you're taking towards the Middle East right now are reducing your capacity to deal with that situation.
I believe that happened as I was preparing and coming out here, so we'll get you a response to that. Certainly we have one, and our teams are always monitoring situations all around the globe.
Okay, and then one more just on Iran. Just over the past 24 hours, we've seen some Israeli strikes on Natanz, Isfahan, and Kondab nuclear facilities. Is there any assessment just of how effective or what the result of those strikes will be?
What I can share is that the IDF and Israel, I think, have exceeded a lot of people's expectations in their ability to really hinder Iran's nuclear facilities, but also they've taken out key people in the Iranian regime's leadership as well. So this is something, of course, we are monitoring and watching every day, and the president was just in an intelligence briefing. He continues to be briefed by his National Security Council, and he will throughout the duration of this war and conflict. And he also remains in constant communication with our Israeli counterparts, most notably Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Kristen.
Thank you, Caroline. We have heard from a number of U.S. officials who say that Iran doesn't want to make a deal, that they are just stringing the United States along. What is to say that they are not going to continue to do so if we continue to give them extensions, now 2 weeks before 60 days?
Look, Iran is in a very weak and vulnerable position because of the strikes and the attacks from Israel. And with respect to the president's statement, I shared that with all of you. And he has been very direct and clear. Iran can and should make a deal. We sent a deal to them that was practical, that was realistic, or they will face grave consequences.
Why is Steve Witkoff not participating in the talks this week?
I can ask Mr. Witkoff why he is not.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the president object if Israel attempts its own operation against Fordo in the next 2 weeks?
I won't decide that for the president, nor will I share that here. I'll let him speak to that.
Just another one. Iran is apparently warning Europeans that if struck by the U.S., it may withdraw from the nuclear proliferation treaty. That would result in throwing out inspectors and taking the program dark. What does the president think of the value of having Iran as a full signatory of that treaty?
Well, that's reckless rhetoric, but I understand the Europeans are meeting with the Iranians tomorrow, so we'll see how that meeting goes.
Just one more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will he plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next week?
Sure. I just answered that question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Caroline. The fact that this president is giving some time and space for diplomacy, another 2 weeks, does it mean that the president is trying his best to avoid a direct conflict with Iran?
I think the president has made it clear he always wants to pursue diplomacy, but believe me, the president is unafraid to use strength if necessary. And Iran and the entire world should know that the United States military is the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world, and we have capabilities that no other country on this planet possesses. Owen.
Caroline, good afternoon. The Supreme Court, as you know, has upheld Tennessee's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, etc. The White House reaction to that, please.
It's a huge victory for America's children, and it's obviously something this administration believes strongly in, that young minor children should not be allowed to be subjected to chemical castration and mutilation. The president himself has taken very strong orders, or has signed very strong executive orders on this, and we are grateful for Tennessee's efforts to protect our children, and we are grateful the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the law, but also on the side of protecting America's innocent children. Elizabeth, go ahead. Sorry, I skipped you earlier.
Thank you so much. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced new vetting procedures on student visas. Will this serve as a model for vetting other foreign visas?
For all foreign visas, yes. As you know, the president signed an executive order, I think it was one of the first he signed in the first week, to strengthen our vetting requirements and our vetting system here in the United States for all visas. He directed the Secretary of State to do that. There was a pause in some of that vetting, as you all know, recently, especially with respect to students from some certain countries. But the vetting has continued, and it's stronger than ever before. As for specifics on how the vetting process has changed, I would defer you to the Department of State. As you know, they're in charge of things like that.
Thank you. To what extent is this 2 week delay with Iran the result of interventions by the likes of Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the entreaties of European leaders who want a de-escalation?
Look, the president hears all voices across the country, and he makes decisions based on his instincts. And he has always said diplomacy is his first option.
And is he still planning to attend the NATO summit next week?
He is, yes. We will be departing from Washington on Monday morning, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. Kayla.
Thanks, Caroline. Oil prices have been spiking over the last week. Is the president watching the oil market, and is that factoring into his decision-making in the Middle East?
Again, as I said to, I think, Alex's question previously, the president is always watching, and this administration is doing more than any in history to bring oil prices and gas prices here at home down for the American public. They have been plummeting since President Trump's inauguration because of the executive action and the federal action this administration has taken on the home front. But yes, of course, he's paying attention and monitoring that. But as for whether it's weighing into his decision, there's a number of factors that, of course, are, and as I said, he will make that decision in the next 2 weeks. Can't reiterate that enough. Ouija.
Caroline, thank you. With regard to a potential deal, Iran has said it will not negotiate under duress. Does the president believe there should be a ceasefire in these next 2 weeks as the U.S. tries to broker a deal?
That's not what he said in the statement he dictated to me, so I won't get ahead of the president or add anything additional to the statement that he gave me the liberty to share with all of you.
And then just to follow up on how close Iran is to a nuclear weapon, can you clarify, when the president said a few weeks away, did he mean obtaining enough enriched uranium to start building a weapon, or did he mean Iran is a few weeks away from completing the production of a weapon?
I'm glad you asked that, Ouija. It's an important question, and it's one, frankly, the media has been getting wrong. Let's be very clear. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that, and it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world. And that is something that the entire world, including countries like Russia, is in agreement with, that Iran should not and cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. And that's why the president believes that, and he's believed that, again, not just his political career, but frankly, his entire life.
So it
Michael.
sounds like it's the former, just to be clear. that
Correct.
They have the components. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Michael.
Caroline, as we look forward to the NATO summit next week, Spain right now is threatening not to oblige the president's request for all NATO countries to spend at least 5% of their GDP. Does the president take issue with this, with Spain right now?
I didn't see Spain's comments. I'll make sure the president sees them, and I can assure you he wants to see all European countries pay their fair share and meet that 5% threshold. It's only fair considering the American taxpayers have given a significant chunk of money to the tune of billions of dollars to support our mutual interests and our assured defense. So I will let him speak to that, but he's made his priorities for our European allies quite clear, including Spain.
Caroline, one last question. When it comes to the president's position on foreign policy in general, is there a phrase that the White House has coined? Is there a Trump doctrine? Does the president like to talk about this? Anyone here in the White House talking about this? And if so, if there is something akin to a Trump doctrine, how would you define it?
America first, always. And with that, I think I'll leave you. I know there's a lot of news in the world right now. As you know, our team is always here to answer your questions, and the president, I am sure, will take more questions from you guys at some point this week, as he always does in the effort of transparency. I appreciate your being here on a federal holiday, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
All right, guys, there you have it. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressing the White House press pool. The press secretary making it no secret that the president wants to destroy Iran's nuclear ambitions. Perhaps what was most concerning is her statement that, according to, well, I guess military sources, Iran has all it needs to produce a nuclear weapon. Yet again, the White House press secretary reiterating that. With regard to what's happening back here on the home front, she stated that President Trump is very optimistic about the economy. Guys, if you haven't already done you any and everywhere you go with regard to the weather forecast and or the latest headlines, of course, we'll keep you up to date. Simply download the app and you will be good to go. I'm Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for watching the Fox 5 Live Zone.